The railway preservation movement has been a strange, wonderful thing. What has survived has come down to determination, effort, intent, and more often than not some outrageous luck and chances. 99% of what could have been preserved though has been lost to time. Prior to grouping of the railways, there used to be over 100 separate private railway companies, each with their own engines and wagon designs. Some have had nothing preserved, but some are fortunate to still be represented today, even if by only a single preserved artefact. You wouldn't know it today, in its shining South Eastern and Chatham Railway livery, but the Class O1 number 65 preserved at the Bluebell Railway is the only surviving former South Eastern Railway engine. Number 65 started life as an SER O-Class, before being rebuilt after the SER's amalgamation with the London, Chatham and Dover Railway to form the South Eastern and Chatham Railway. Those routes are not what it's famed for. The engine is known for its intricate SECR livery worn in preservation, and also the sterling steam service it's given in recent decades. With such an attractive allure, it's no wonder Rapido announced a range of Class O1s including this livery, as well as a fetching alternative What If Blue to match the famed livery of the Bluebell Railway's number 323P class. The Class O1s have proven incredibly popular, and the arrival date has been meticulously watched. Having ridden on the preserved engine, I got my order in immediately at Hatton's, and then following their closure I switched to Rails of Sheffield, where the model cost £169.95. In the days of £180+ tank engines, Bachmann, and £250 tender engines, £170 doesn't seem too bad from the outset. One thing that did raise my eyebrow though was there was absolutely no mention of diecast on the product description pages, and I thought this would be guaranteed at these kind of prices. Well, I can now inspect that for myself as the O1 has finally landed. Number 65 has a product code of 966001 and is in the as preserved condition in SECR Wainwright Green. Inside is an informative little booklet containing information on the prototype's history, how to run the engine in, and how to fit all of the separately bagged details such as coupling hooks, doors, and route indicator discs. And here they are, in the bag. Interestingly, inside the box the engine and tender are packaged in their own separate clamshells. Despite this, upon unpacking both I discovered one loose piece of detail that had come off during shipping. The exploded diagram identifies this as part of the floor between the engine and tender, and thankfully it managed to clip back on with ease. Like the Sterling single I reviewed, this engine has an 8-pin connector that clips the engine to the tender, allowing both parts to run together and for all the electronics to connect up. With engine and tender connected, it becomes obvious how stunning the entire model looks in person. There are so many intricacies in the lining, decoration, tooling, separately fitted details and fitted components. The finish is nice and satin, with the smoke box being matte by comparison, more akin to how things are on real engines. One side of the loco contains accurate detail such as the Westinghouse brake pump and pipework, whereas the other side is a bit more bare. The buffer beams have accurate tapered buffers with their own fine, intricate lining, and also NEM couplings and brake pipes fitted. The smokebox and running board have separately fitted lamp irons, handrails, and smokebox door darts. The tender also features prominent features on its footplate, such as the advertised tender toolbox, water gauges, furniture, tooled flooring, handrails. I could just go on and on. There's really very little I noticed to nitpick, except the slightly squiffy fit of the chimney cap on the funnel. It's not 100% straight and flush, but at normal viewing distance, it's fine. The tender though, with its outside frames, separately lined axle boxes and springs, is executed flawlessly, and the design brilliance goes beyond the aesthetics. While the engine runs with a can motor, flywheel and plunger pickups, the tender contains a Next 18 decoder socket, twin speakers, and wheel bearing pickups, ensuring that all the wheels fit into reliable, robust bearings, and also pick up power to ensure electrical reliability. While I've never had any issues with tender engines over points, I'm glad Rapido has gone to such lengths, especially given the cost. In other areas, the dome, whistle and safety valves all look exquisite. But before I get lost in yet more details to gush over, just look at that cab detail. I want to go back to how this model feels in terms of weight. Is there die-cast or metal parts? Never mind, I forgot to show off the fantastic internal motion detail, which you can see between the running plate and boiler, and also underneath between the wheels. This is giving Hornby's Liverpool and Manchester Tigers internal motion a run for its money in terms of execution. Brake rigging and sandpipes are also fitted, and underneath the tender you can see the holes for the fitted speakers to emit their sound effects on the sound-fitted models. And for good measure, here is what the underside of the tender connection looks like. Anyway, back to the weight question, and on the scales this model comes in at 244 grams, which isn't as heavy as some of the other models I've looked at relative to the engine size. The Dapol Prairie I bought was over 300 grams without a tender. The O1 is only about 100 grams more than the Dapol Hawthorne Leslie as well, which is a really tiny compact tank engine. The O1 does have a metal body and construction elements it turns out, but that doesn't really come through compared to other models I've looked at. Regardless of what it's made of, it has been assembled and decorated beautifully. The back-to-back wheel gauging comes in at 14.4 to 14.6mm, which is right about the standard expected. So overall this is a beautiful, iconic pre-grouping locomotive wonderfully realised by Rapido. While maybe not as packed with weight as other locomotives available, larger and smaller, there's much to appreciate and admire. Let's see if it runs as well as it looks down on the track. Straight out of the box, the O1 was stiff and did stall. But after a bit of running in, it became smooth and consistent, ironing out those unfavourable kinks. Increasing the speed, it was free and quiet. Starting from still again, the crawl was nice, slow and controllable, making for a delightful runner. Now for the points test. In forwards motion, the O1 ran nice and slowly over the Pico Code 100 streamline points. In reverse there was a slight pause, so let's give it another try. That was a tiny bit smoother, almost perfect. Baseboard joins were no problem at all. Let's send the O1 around the loop. The curved ball join wasn't a problem, nor was the join on Deltic Pass, where you can see the firebox glow LED working. The second curved join and the curved road crossing didn't phase it at all. That was a smooth, reasonable run from the O1. But the question still remains about how well geared it is for scale speed running. For the third time in 9 months, it's time to dust off my train racing driver. Some say that during Operation Smash Hit, he was napping in the cab of 46009, and yet somehow escaped unscathed. And when he first heard about the 1-to-1 collection, he wrongly thought it was a human cloning facility. All we know is, He's called the Grunt. There's the O1 with the Grunt on the footplate, amorphous blobs of hands on the fine controls. And they're off! Gliding round the first crossing onto the second baseboard. Without missing a beat, they are storming down Deltic Pass. There's the firebox glow again in front of the Grunt. Onto the final board, traffic holds at the second crossing and they fly into the station across the line. For comparison, here is Bachmann's SECR C-Class, number 592, also preserved at the Bluebell Railway. And off goes the C-Class, an engine I've had for over 10 years but not really had a chance to properly run. You can hear the motor quite notably, so it definitely needs another service. That might explain the somewhat muted speed of this lap, but it made it back round towards the station and across the line. So, the Rapido Class O1 did the lap in 19.23 seconds, which is a scale speed of about 52.4 miles per hour. I recall seeing somewhere that these engines had a top speed of around 55 miles per hour, so the gearing on this seems to be set to double speed. Heavy rolling stock will temper this somewhat, but it certainly is on the sprightly end of proceedings. And the Bachmann C-Class did the lap in... That's the cat deciding to meow even though he's already had dinner. Apologies. What is it? Hello. Say hello. Do we want to do the lap time? Hello. Say hello. Do you want to do this one? No? Anyway, the Bachmann C-Class did the lap in 27.3 seconds, which is about 36.9 miles per hour. That's far more reasonable, but given my model is over 10 years old and sounds in need of another service, I suspect the... Bye-bye. That's far more reasonable, but given my model is over 10 years old and sounds in need of another service, I suspect the performance was slightly stunted. That's an interesting set of results, and I was expecting the inverse. Still, the O1 ran nice and free, even if it was with a little bit too much speed. Time to test the couplings. I have my brand new Clark Railworks propeller carrier wagon out for review as well, and I'm going to get my money's worth out of running this considering its price. Behind that is a Rapido SECR wagon as well as a custom brake van of mine. The propeller carrier and the O1 had no issues. The issues here were down to a slightly angled and drooping coupler on the SECR wagon. The O1's part though was played flawlessly on the first coupling attempt. And off they go with a short, interesting freight train. I've seen the real engine multiple times, and I have to say this model is just as much of a delight as the real thing. Even though I aesthetically prefer the C-Class, it just looks neater with a better proportion tender. I am really happy the O1 has graced the modelling scene, and that it's been executed with such finesse. I probably have too many 060s, but they're all too enigmatic to sell or overlook. On to my final verdict. Decoration. This is a sublimely detailed and decorated engine. There are so many intricate parts, each with their own finely applied colour and lining. They all come together to create a miniature work of art on wheels. I'd be insane to say I'm not happy with this criterion. Details and features. This definitely matches up to my expectations. All the core and extra details I expected are included, much of them separately fitted, with even more parts in the accessory bag. Route indicator discs and the firebox glow are nice touches. Besides some etched nameplates, there's not too much else Rapido could do to improve this. I'm happy with what was delivered. Quality. Despite the loose component, the tiny niggle with the funnel and the very mild, subjective lightish weight, there was nothing to fault with the O1. It was packaged well, beautifully built, and for the most part it felt robust and solid in the hand. Rapido has delivered a quality engine I look forward to running a lot on the layout. Performance. Despite some minor sticks and cogging straight out of the box, after some running in this was as perfect as I could have hoped for. Nothing fazed the O1. It handled points, ball joins and trains admirably. While the gearing was notably on the fast side, it still had a nice range of speeds at 50% and less on the controller, with some great low-end performance. Another easy point scored. And finally, onto price. At £170, all round this feels to me almost on par with the Sterling single in terms of decoration, quality, detail and performance. The O1 and the Sterling single are duking it out for my favourite Rapido tender engine. The price for the O1 feels just right here, reflecting everything you get as well as this being a smaller engine than the Sterling single. The O1 may not be the cheapest or most expensive 060 tender engine on the market at the moment, but I don't feel I was over or undersold. This gets the price point from me. Overall, that's a score of 5 out of 5, making this an essential pre-grouping steam engine for anyone's layout. If you're going to make a single Rule 1 purchase this year, you'll be hard pushed to find better than this. My appetite is whetted for more Rapido Steam releases that are on the horizon, and I can't wait. So what do you think of the Rapido Class O1? It took me almost 2 weeks to get it from the post office in the end, but it was well worth the wait. If you've picked one up, let me know what you think of it and what it's pulling down in the comments below. Thanks for watching and I'll be back in another video very soon. Take care.